What's up guys, Kazungu here and welcome back to another Destiny 2 video. Today's going to be a little bit of a shorter video, but I am going to be talking about the new seasonal ritual rocket launcher Ascendancy, including how to get this weapon and how well it stacks up to its competition in Destiny 2 at the moment. Before we begin, however, if you liked this video or found it helpful, remember that a like and subscribe is greatly appreciated and it goes a long way to help out the channel. Check me out on Twitch too if you feel like it, the link is in the description. And again, apologies if I sound weird for this video, my seasonal allergies have been acting up a little bit. Anyway, let's get on to the video. The Ascendancy is the Season of the Lost's ritual weapon, and unlike previous ritual weapons, there is no quest to earn it. Instead, you now need to reach rank 16 in any playlist, and then claim the rocket launcher from that playlist's respective vendor. You can now also do this for the Vanguard, since Zavala has been reworked with a reputation system similar to Lord Shaxx in the Drifter. But now that you've gotten your 16 ranks, and you've gotten your hands on the Ascendancy, how does it stack up? Well, Ascendancy is a solar 15 round per minute rocket launcher, which means that it comes with intrinsic tracking. It also has impact casing for slightly higher damage on direct hits, but impact casing isn't a huge deal since unlike spike grenades on grenade launchers, impact casing is actually a very small bonus. The first column perk of Ascendancy is going to be your choice between Impulse Amplifier and Ambitious Assassin. Either of these is pretty good, but I've started leaning more towards Ambitious Assassin since a lot of times shooting a large target will result in a splash damage kill due to its other perk, Explosive Light, which was previously seen on the Wendigo GL3 Pinnacle Grenade Launcher. And since Explosive Light increases the blast radius, I think it actually synergizes very well with Ambitious Assassin. For the other fourth column perk, I don't really like chain reaction on rocket launchers. It's not terrible, but Explosive Light is just so much better, and so I think it's really worth running in almost every situation on Ascendancy. However, is the Ascendancy the new best rocket launcher for the PvE endgame? Well, yes and no. When we tested it against our Lost Sector Servitor boss, Ascendancy, with both Explosive Light active and no mods equipped, hits for 67,063 damage on the detonation and 17,544 on impact for a total of 84,607 damage. If we compare this to the current king of legendary rocket launchers, Hezen Vengeance, with Overflow and Vorpal, but also no mods equipped, we get an impact damage of 18,341 and a detonation damage of 64,269. For a total of 82,610. So in Ascendancy with Explosive Light hits for about a 3% extra damage compared to Vorpal. So it's not a huge bonus, but I do think that Ascendancy might beat out Hezen Vengeance and the yet to be released Hothead, which will be dropping from Nightfalls, for a couple of reasons. Ascendancy, being a 15 RPM rocket, has built-in tracking, which Hezen Vengeance does not, and it still has a way to get a 2-rocket magazine, which Hezen Vengeance also does, but you can't have a 2-round magazine on Hezen Vengeance and also have tracking. Explosive Light is also close to being as free as Vorpal, but you can't die or else you lose your stacks. Hezen Vengeance is also a 25 RPM rocket, while Ascendancy is a 15 RPM, but this doesn't mean much due to the fact that you have to reload between shots anyways, and the actual fire rate on rocket launchers doesn't make a whole lot of a big deal, except for the amount of reserves you can carry. For example, the Hothead, which again has not been released yet, is a 20 RPM rocket, which actually means it'll be able to carry one less rocket than reserve than either Hezen Vengeance or Ascendancy. And both of these rockets, every rocket I've mentioned here, will actually do less damage than a rocket with Lasting Impression, but Lasting Impression does always have that delayed damage, which can be problematic for certain damage phases or killing champions. And outside of Ascendancy, there's actually no rocket that can get intrinsic tracking and a damage perk and a double magazine perk. The closest thing we have is Royal Entry, which can get something like the intrinsic tracking and Clown Cartridge, but if you get Clown Cartridge, you can't get a damage perk, which means that Ascendancy will still just be stronger than something like Royal Entry. All in all, I think that Ascendancy is really, really good. It hits really, really hard. It has Impulse Amplifier for increased reload speed and projectile velocity, as well as Wendigo GL3's Pinnacle perk, Explosive Light. It also has tracking due to its archetype. The other thing is that Ambitious Assassin is also really good on it, because again, Explosive Light increases the blast radius by quite a bit, so you can get some splash damage kills while still hitting your primary target and getting that double reload on the next rocket. However, chain reaction is pretty worthless, but that's not a big deal since again, you'll probably just have Explosive Light. The only other problem I have with the Ambitious Assassin perk, though, is that it is pretty much just a worse version of Clown Cartridge, since you still have to fire a rocket to get the reload. But like I mentioned before, Explosive Light does a good job of making up for that, since, again, Blast Radius means you'll probably kill a red bar while still hitting the boss. The only other main issue that I have with Ascendancy is that its damage is extremely close to Hazen Vengeance's damage with Vorpal. If you add in the fact that Hazen can get Overflow, and the fact that Hazen Vengeance has a time-lost version that can slot Adept mods, namely Adept Big Ones spec, I think that Ascendancy is very much capable of matching Hazen as a top-tier rocket, but it doesn't really exceed it, seeing as it is less than 2,000 difference damage per rocket. Ascendancy will always have its intrinsic tracking going for it, though, whereas if you want tracking on the Hazen Vengeance, you'll have to sacrifice its unique Overflow perk, since it is the only rocket that can currently roll with that. With Ascendancy, you lose the ability to slot Adept mods, but intrinsic tracking is such a big bonus that I think the pros outweigh the cons here. Adept Big Ones is really good for pretty much only GMs, and it's only a very small bonus, so I think the loss of Adept mods is not a big deal. Ascendancy can hit just as hard as Hazen, but it also hits more often since the rockets have homing and you don't have to worry about missing as often. The only real issue I see with it is the risk you run with Explosive Light, which is a stacking buff that you can lose when you die, and in end-game content you can die quite a bit. I also wish that the Explosive Light on Ascendancy was similarly powerful to the version on Wendigo, but I understand why Bungie is hesitant to re-release something that powerful into the ecosystem. However, this video, these points I've gone over, this is why I think you need to get Ascendancy, especially if you're a player who doesn't raid super often, or do Master Vault of Glass for the time-lost Hazen Vengeance. Ascendancy is hands down the best rocket you can get without having to go into the Master Vault of Glass. However, that's all I have for this video, so if you liked it or found it helpful, a like is greatly appreciated, and if you want, click subscribe as well as the bell icon for notifications whenever I make a new video, and check out my Twitch linked below if you want to catch some live streams. Stay tuned for another new video covering a certain reissued sniper rifle later this weekend, and as always, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.